Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I'm your host, A.D. Walker, the pusher, the grower, the motivator. Appreciate you guys for being here. Always supporting. Let's change that.
Bam. So thank you guys again. Make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. Um, Today we're talking about, do you get defensive? Do you get defensive when having conversations about certain things? Do you get defensive um, when things are brought up? Are you easily triggered, I guess, in a sense, with certain things? I guess triggering and defensiveness could be the same, but they are separate. Because, as far as a defense, it's when someone says something to you or states a claim or personal, you know, that they see in you that maybe you need to change, or do you get defensive? And I'm talking about this for a couple of reasons, but mainly, which is weird, I just saw a report about like marijuana. So there's this thing called I think CPH, and basically it's like an illness that you get when you smoke too much. That's Smoke too much or smoke a high potency. The way to describe it, a high potency, um, and it makes you sick. And what's always funny, so I watched it. It was on YouTube, um, and I was like, let's see what these comments say. So of course, everybody goes into how bad alcohol is, how bad cigarettes are, and you know, um, though they said it's rare, it's increasingly becoming not as rare because most people are smoking, and there were no, you got to think, in if there's a drug that's illegal, um, no one really is going to talk about their sickness based on the drugs. Um, so it's increasing, and it's just, you know everybody just harps on, you know uh, no one says it was just bad thing. Like marijuana is horrible. It just was pointing out that too high of a potency, too consistently, too frequently, this what can happen. So, for them on a report, they're just like, the best thing to get rid of it is to stop smoking. So it's just I just think about the marijuana debate. Um, it's not really a debate any longer, but just whenever you say anything bad about marijuana, the defensiveness comes out. And I just begin to think about, you know, like I said, nothing in any article says to stop or get rid of or make illegal or ban. None of it. That's not even a conversation. They're just saying too high of a consumption can have this effect. Now I will say I did see another video where a doctor was saying, smoking, period, is not good for your lungs. And that included the marijuana, because um, the fumes and the smoke in it, like it's smoke in your lungs, like you know it. And someone said, has always defended, well, it's natural. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't mean you're supposed to smoke it. And just because uh, historically ancestors have done it doesn't mean they got it right too. And I always defend upon that, because just because someone's done it way back in the day didn't mean they were right either. Like, they chose something that they felt was good, and then they had less technological advances to really check the body and all of that good stuff. But this is not the debate about that. But it just shows that people can get really defensive about certain topics, and just hear what's being said, and become, and understand what's being said and have a discussion about either the facts or the research and things of that nature, as opposed to um, just getting defensive. All right, so that's what we're talking about today on the Brothers of Legacy. I gotta admit, this topic came to me very late, so hopefully my brothers can come through. If not, then it'll just be me. Also, let's see. Also, shout out to the Denver Nuggets, the NBA champions. Literally followed zero, followed zero of the playoffs. What's up, Jeff? Good morning, man. Good morning. I usually catch something, like I usually watch something, sometimes, a game or some zero of the playoffs. So shout out to the Denver Nuggets, because I had to check. I was like, where are we at with this playoff thing? And I just found out I think they won last night, if I'm not mistaken. So shout out to the Denver Nuggets. Might have Cole kind of break down some stuff. He said, right, Jeff? He said, me too. Yeah, but so off topic. While I talk a little bit, you ever not watch stuff that everybody else is watching? I find myself there quite often. Not watching stuff that you feel like I just found out from right, Joyce, I just found out from you. Like The Walking Dead. It's like at least in America, it's like millions of people watching that. A great number was watching that. But I never could get into it. My wife and I, we tried to watch a few episodes. But I think it's listen, Jeff, and Jeff, it's worse for me though. It's worse for me. You might have more of a community that may not watch it. My folks, I got more people that do watch it. Never seen it. Yeah, The Walking Dead, like it just, yeah, we tried to watch it. It's rough. Like the first season, they say you get past the first, it gets better. But now that they got 200 seasons, yeah, I'm not feeling feeling inspired to binge. He said it's so silly. But yeah, you ever just find yourself, it's always weird when you're not into something that everybody else is doing. Like, or you try to watch, you try to see, try to listen to, you just like, man, I don't see what you guys see in these things. And I don't know, because I listen, everything that comes out, like sports, right? Like everything that happens, everything that's out there, I try to make an attempt. I try to make an attempt to try to watch or get into. I don't know. Me and sports was like hit and miss. Like I just never caught my attention enough. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. Thomas kind of called me out, or he said people that are like artists, artistic, or not autistic, like artistic. So they, seem to always try to do stuff that is different, like outside, whatever. I guess I'm always finding myself there, never following what everybody else does, maybe purposely. You're going that way, I'm gonna go this way. But that's when we get in trouble. Oh, let me get Mr. Larry Banks on. I didn't think he's gonna come through. I just kind of shouted. I said, let's see who comes through this morning. What's up?
Good morning. Not sure if you can hear me, dude, but I can't hear you. You might need to like sing backstage again.
You can hear me? You can't hear me. You can't hear me? Can't hear me at all? I
see your lips moving.
Reacting, so it may be headphones. Okay. And McCory said he can hear me. So it's you, Larry. It's you. It's you. Everyone else can hear. You just can't. You still can't hear, right?
Nah, see you backstage. I'll be back.
All right.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
You. I do.
Wow,
Yes.
I can't hear it.
And Jeff says, I hear everybody. So, Brian, how you doing, sir?
Good. Happy Monday. Oh, wait, Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah. I don't know why I
Happy
got
Tuesday.
mistaken. I had that mistaken because I did work yesterday. I feel it.
So
Good morning. Good morning, Jeff. How you doing, sir?
We were just talking about sports. I was just shouting out the Denver Nuggets. I had to Google real quick. I said, let's see where this game is at. And it looks like it's over. It's over.
I am
Did they get
as
swept?
much of a sports fan as I am.
Yes.
I am ashamed to say that I didn't even see the game.
Wow, really?
I didn't see the game. It wasn't an entertaining finals.
Okay.
I knew Denver was going to win, and I
Oh,
knew that Miami was going to eke out at least one game, but this thing was done before it started. There's
Wow.
no way that Miami could contend with the sheer firepower and the size of Denver, and they had no answer for
Oh.
Nikola Jokic.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
You
just
said you're
nothing.
in
It was
good
a
company.
waste
You didn't see it. You didn't see it either.
for different reasons, probably.
Right. Right.
For me not to watch the finals, man, that just it just for me, sports can't be that predictable,
Okay.
right? There's enough parity in the league that I mean, I have to commend Miami Heat for balling enough to be an 8th seed, to be the lowest on average. They are the lowest scoring team in the league.
Wait,
and
you
made
said
it to the
who?
finals.
Miami was the lowest scoring team in the league. Wow.
Scored the fewest points per game and ended up in the finals.
Wow.
Right? They beat the number 1 seed. Well, Denver ended up being the the number 1 seed, but for most of the season, Milwaukee was the team to beat.
Gotcha.
So they beat Milwaukee. They
Right.
beat the expected finals team from the Eastern Conference, the Boston Celtics.
Okay.
So they beat
Okay.
Milwaukee and they beat Boston, and made it to the finals. And so you have to tip your hat to the energy, to the teamwork, the fact that they made it with 3 players that were undrafted,
Wow.
and they just outballed the top contenders in
Wow.
the East and made it to the finals. But
Look at that.
they ran up on the Nuggets.
It just
Yeah.
wasn't happening.
It just wasn't going to happen. Wasn't going to happen. I mean, after you saw what the Nuggets did to the Lakers,
Yeah.
what
Right.
Anthony Davis was unable to do,
Right.
right? And I really believe that if the Lakers can get a point guard, it'll be the Lakers in the finals next year.
Okay. Okay.
We'll see. We'll see. But LeBron has to play at least as well as he played this season, and AD absolutely has to play more than one game in a row consistently.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Larry Banks is in the
Yeah.
building.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How you guys doing?
Wonderful,
good.
sir. Happy Tuesday to you.
Oh yeah. I'm just having. I couldn't believe it. I was having technical difficulties. I apologize for that.
You good? You good?
That's because that's it had to be an anomaly for the Denver Nuggets to do it like they did. Yes, I'm getting defensive here.
You said it had to be an anomaly?
It had to be an anomaly. Look, the tech guru here had technical difficulties getting in. Yeah, it's total anomaly right now.
He said it's full of anomalies right now.
Well, I don't think Denver is an anomaly. You got to remember,
To be unathletic but good, that don't go.
who's the leading scorer on Denver Nuggets?
The unathletic. What? I really do not.
Who's the second leading scorer?
I'm uneducated because I don't really
So,
watch. But I would say Jamal Murray is one of the two.
right. So it's Jokic and Murray. But
Okay.
think about this. 2 years ago, the Nuggets were in the finals
Okay.
or the Western Conference Finals.
Was that
right?
was that the one with the quotes?
Right.
That was the COVID.
Yeah. The
Right.
last time Jamal Murray was healthy, they made it to the Western Conference Finals and got beat by the Lakers, who ended up winning the chip. Last season, he was hurt.
Oh.
This season, he was healthy, and they got right back, but they were more mature.
Mm. So
And
you
that's-
get rolled
And
up.
you got to deal with the loss, the pain of the loss, before you
Deal
can
with
make it. We all know that, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
so they had experienced the pain of the loss and came back healthy and strong, and they were all healthy at the right time. And then you think about everybody on the team was healthy and everybody performed, and they were just too big for Miami.
Yeah.
Too big.
I would say more consistent.
Oh yeah, and you, what's funny is we say it's unathletic, but I will tell you the stuff that Jokic was doing was, I mean, the agility of his game is it's like Dirk Nowitzki. You add 30 pounds or 40 pounds to Dirk Nowitzki, and you have Jokic.
Yeah, I actually love Dirk Nowitzki. He's one of those.
Okay, so let
Yeah,
me ask this, then we can kind of move on a little bit. I saw a post that was saying like the Denver Nuggets can be one of the greatest teams ever.
They're well balanced. The problem is if you can stop Jokic, what's funny is I thought about Jokic and I kept thinking about Steph Curry. When Steph Curry came into the league out of Davidson, I kept saying that shot is not going to keep falling like that. That's what I kept saying. And the shot kept falling.
Kept falling.
And I kept waiting for Jokic to start missing. I'm like, there's no way those rainbow threes are going to keep dropping like that. He can't just turn around on one leg and just
keep
put
doing
the
it.
ball up. Oh, you can't do it. And it kept falling. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Well,
You got a pattern.
one thing I guess give Jokic is after his post game. I saw on Good Morning America this morning his post game interview, and he was like, "It's just a game." You know, I like the fact that he said this is just a game. There's more to life, and I do agree with him. Like, everybody's like, "Oh, you won the finals." He's like, "It was just a game. Life goes on, right?" He's like,
Right.
"You know, I have a great family. You know,
Wow.
I'm thankful for the family I have."
Wow.
So he said things like that, and I was like, you know what? He kind of chipped away, you know, the ice that I have against him, his athleticism in the game when he was like, you know what? It is more than this game. Like, you guys are really like acting like this is like the end all be all. This game is over. My job is done. Now I can go home to my family. You know,
But that's the
and
difference
then next year,
between
again.
that's the difference between being American.
Right.
I won't even finish.
There we go.
Priority, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that he's a little brother, right? He's got hooligan big brothers, right?
Yeah.
So he did not want to disappoint his brother. So he just put his hard hat on, grabbed his lunchbox, and went to work.
There we go.
Interesting.
Yeah, if you want to see Jokic smiling, laughing, and joking, see him in his homeland around his family. That's
Right.
when you'll see him undisciplined, acting silly, dancing, laughing, joking, and all that when he gets around his family. When he's on that court and stuff, you can't even get emotion out of him.
Got a glimpse of it when he dunked Jamal Murray in that pool.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So
he said
tonight,
he bought some horses. Somebody said, "Are you going to buy another horse?"
wow.
The problem is they got a parade coming up, right? And he has a horse race coming up, and he's trying to figure out
How to do both.
whether or not he can't do both. And he is content with his horses racing
Like,
over the parade.
y'all be there. The rest of the folks will be there.
Yeah.
They don't need me.
When he got back-to-back MVPs and the Finals MVP, and they said, you are one of 10. He
Wow.
goes, and how many years has the league been around? They were like, 70. He says, I guess that's pretty good.
Yep.
Pretty good.
Impersonation. Nice impersonation.
You know what's crazy though? If I was another baller, I think that would annoy my nerves. Like, it's like I'm trying to get there. You just like, oh, I guess that's good then.
Yeah.
Like, you just there all comfortable. I'm trying to get there. You just, oh yeah, we won.
Yeah.
But what makes me real happy? Like, what? What? The Knicks are like, one day we'll be there. One day.
The Knicks are close. They're close.
Yeah.
But I think they need to Julius Randle needs to I don't know, prioritize real game time, because he was awesome during the season, and then the playoffs came and he just fell off.
That's the Knicks theme right there. The Knicks so close, they just need to.
That's everybody.
They just need
that's
to.
Everyone who is not the champion.
Right.
Memphis. People thought Memphis was coming out of the West. What did Ja Morant say? Oh, we good in the West. Are you?
Really?
But you're not good at Memphis.
Nice. All right. So today we're talking about, do you get defensive, as Larry got defensive with the Nuggets? wasn't very happy. Do you ever find yourself, I guess triggered is kind of the word, but always talk about, when you're having conversation, sometimes it's not what people say, it's how they say it. And then sometimes it doesn't matter how they say it, you're going to get defensive regardless. And so do you ever find yourself getting defensive, and how have you ever been in a space where you're feeling yourself getting defensive, but you're trying to listen and you're trying to hear it, but your defenses are coming up and you want to speak in a defensive manner, but you're like, I'm trying to listen without the back, the back and forth. Have you guys been there before? And have you, my thing is though, like, so the main part is, because I know we're people, people say things, you want to say something back, boom, 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 and then you find yourself in the back and forth, and you're like, it's not where the conversation is supposed to go. I was trying to listen, but I just couldn't. So have you ever found yourself in that space before you opened your mouth and you just like, you had inner conversation, like, just listen, don't say nothing back, hear everything that they got to say? Because there's the what's that thing, Pastor? Active listening, right? Isn't that what it's called? Active listening, instead of listening and waiting to respond. Oh, okay, I hear you, Pastor. When you stop talking, I'm gonna have something to say. I'm building. I'm taking ammo. I'm about to launch my attack, because that's what instead of listening, I'm ready to launch my attack. But we had those conversations. It's all right. It's catching up, Pastor. It just didn't on me. For those that are on the podcast, I know you can't see it. My brother Brian, sometimes it seems to slow down, then it speeds up, then it slows down on the video. His voice is fine, but the video part. So, question: have you quelled that person when that inner attacker? Have you been able to calm that person down?
Yes.
And what did you do? What do you say to yourself? How do you coach yourself down?
I'm scared to talk because I have such a delay.
It's all good.
Wow, you do.
Yes, absolutely. Can I
Okay.
talk with my camera turned off?
No, we like it. It reminds me of
It'll make you feel better.
Can I? Let me do that. Let me just do that real quick, so that doesn't look so crazy. Absolutely. And I only know that because I remember when I allowed my emotions to get in the way, and I would automatically jump to my own defense and interrupt people to get my point across.
Right.
It takes time and maturity to make room for someone to make their point, to say what they need to say, let them finish, and then you have an opportunity to respond instead of getting triggered by a component of the conversation.
Right.
Right. We get messed up. We get thrown sideways because people can't finish their thought.
Right.
If I tell you, if the end of my story is at your house, AD,
Yeah.
like right up the street from my house, there's a Shell gas station, right? But the end of my story is pulling up at your house.
Right.
And I'm telling you how I got there, but we get stuck at the Shell gas station. Right?
Right.
I can't even get to your house because something happened at the Shell gas station that offended you.
Right.
Now you want to deal with the point that I'm making about Shell, and you won't let me get to your house.
Right.
And that's what happens. And I had to learn to let people finish their statement, not interrupt them so much. I'm not perfect at it, but I'm better than I used to be.
I got you.
See, for me, I think it's like the tale of multiple Larrys, right? There's a young Larry, then young Larry, then there's a Larry who was, the saved Larry.
Right.
Then there's the more mature Larry. Then there's the post-stroke Larry, right? So it's all these different Larrys, and each one was would have reacted differently over time, right? So I can't really pinpoint an example, but I do know that family tend to they would curb their, how would I like to say it? They would choose their words carefully, or they would have a certain expectation of what my reaction is going to be. So they're like, one example, and it's not necessarily me being defensive. I guess I could have got defensive knowing that, like, a couple years ago, connected with my biological father, right? And the way the connection happened, my brother's like gave me his number, and it was like, we're not. And then they all were like, we're not expecting Larry to call. So when I called that same minute that I got the number, they was like, we weren't expecting you to do that. And now, before I probably have been like, how you gonna assume what I want to do? You don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, turned into a thing. I got you.
Yeah, it could have turned into a thing, and I was like, well, you guys put the work in, got the number. Why not use it? And I was like, I'm not expecting much from this. Let's see what happens. Right. And boom, got a brother out the deal.
Nice.
Right. But yeah. And I know someone's ear hustling right now and what I'm saying, but I'm like, I really don't typically get defensive. But they would probably assume differently. But me get defensive? Nah. I'm the easiest one to get along with. Right, Jeff?
So Dr. Rollins says, Pastor says, now you just said, let me stop you.
Right. let me stop you right there for a second. And the second turns into an hour.
Right. Right.
And I never made it to your house.
But then there was another example, like even like my boss, he was I wouldn't say necessarily him and Han, but since I've been out on medical leave, right? Everyone knows it. It's not a secret. If it is first time you heard it, yeah. This is 11 months, 2 weeks ago was my little episode. And so that same month I had just got a promotion to assistant director, right? That June 1st, a promotion to assistant director. I've been fighting for it for a while. Finally got it, right? June 24, 23 days later, the stroke happened. So I was in the position for 23 days, right?
Wow.
Like, man.
Gotcha.
So then the department, I'm like, Lord, you're going to put me in a position, but hey, now what? I can't even work in a position. So now the job realizes, hey, he was a vital, crucial part of our organization. Like, yo, you did everything, and I was like, no, I did everything that everybody else didn't want to do.
Right.
I offered the cross training. Here's documentation. This is the stuff. Like, you gonna do what I did? I got it all out there. I don't use my own personal accounts. I set up service accounts, the whole kit and caboodle. So fast forward, they're like, okay, well, you got a staff, you got all these roles, you have these projects going, and we need somebody to do it.
Gotcha.
He goes and says, well, he comes to me, hey, so I posted a position. I was like, okay, cool. And he goes, my position was assistant director of cloud storage, email, and so on. So I can't remember my title anymore. It's been that long. But he was like, I created a position. I posted, and it's director of cloud storage, email, and all other stuff. And I was like, so post-stroke,
right?
Larry would have been like, hey, what's going on here? But I was like, at that point, I was like, one, I probably couldn't get hyped because I didn't want to have another episode.
Right.
But on the same case, I was like, you know what? I was like, that's a good thing. Matter of fact, when I come back, I'm not doing the same job anyway. So it is quite all right. So if you're replacing me, it's fine. And he was like, wait, I'm not replacing you. He was like, no, I am okay with that. Right? Maybe my thought bubble right here was saying some other things, right?
Right.
But it was a conversation or an experience that could have went a second way. Like let's say before June 1st, before getting the promotion to assistant director, that he came and said, hey, instead of making you assistant director, I posted a position for director. I'm going to hire somebody in over you for you to report to. Then I think, the whole operation would have got shut down. Wow. But I'm glad it didn't go that way. But yeah.
That's good. Awesome. Having those reactions.
I'm going to knock at 4 a.m. I'm going to keep knocking at your window, Jeff. Don't worry about it.
That's easy going, except when he's knocking at your window at 4 a.m. He said, right, I've learned that trying to change people's minds is really a difficult task. It's easier for me to be open than to try to open others. Indeed.
Well, I think, and I agree with that. You can't.
Not my duty to challenge people all the time.
Yeah. But I think there's a difference between someone else being closed-minded and you being defensive, right? If I'm being defensive, if something that you said has triggered me to the point to where I have to interrupt you and defend my perspective, my action, or whatever the case might be, I think that validates my closed mind, because I haven't given you an opportunity to express your perspective. Right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I may be justified in defense of myself, but I'm acting improperly if you can't even get your thought out.
Right.
But would you say, I could see the difference in being closed-minded and defensive, but do they almost, I guess they can get confused as a response, but it seems like they both can be the same. There's some things that are similar, I guess, or
Well, I think the closed-minded part, Larry, is if I don't give you the opportunity to express yourself. For me to hear another perspective means I'm closed to my own perspective, right?
right.
The other part of it is I could be struggling with accountability,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah, because I was like, because even like the shut down part, could that be part of being defensive? Like, okay, you hear somebody starting off on a wrong tangent, saying something that's completely off with your character, for instance, and instead of continuing to deal with it and listen to it, to allow it to take you to a place that you don't want to go.
Right.
Yeah.
That shut down as well can happen, but
And to me that I feel like there are certain personalities that just want to avoid confrontation altogether, and so people will shut
Right.
down,
right,
right?
yeah.
Go take a nap.
Right.
What's wrong with taking naps?
if you always need a nap whenever there's something to talk about, you're avoiding confrontation.
It's nap time. It's nap time. I'm tired. I'm tired, boss.
Yeah.
Right.
But again, there are so many factors that come into play, though. But I do believe that, that whole shutting down. I've had someone say, "Oh, you don't want me to say anything? Okay, then I'll never say anything again. I just won't talk." Really? Really?
Uh-oh.
Hey, Sam.
All right, man. Brian, that's how she introduced herself to me. It's Samantha. I was like, all right, I get that whole thing right.
Don't pick on my wife. Don't pick on her. So how do you so when someone says something to you, right? And it may be challenging to hear. Like what is your response when it's gotten through, if that makes sense? Or is there a response? Like,
say it again.
What is your response when it's gotten through? Like when you shut down Lil Brian that's trying to oh, let's say this back. Let's say this. And you're like, no, we're listening right now. We're listening. We're trying to listen. And when what's said was a point. They made it. They said something that's true. Like it's resonated. Like
I was about 42. I was about 42 or 43 years old when I found out I had a little man on my left shoulder and a little man on my right shoulder.
Right. Because you say this. Say that.
Yeah.
No, don't say that. Don't say that.
Yeah. And I say, because I'm left-handed, the little man on my right shoulder is always the negative one. You guys always attribute that to the left, but the little guy on my right shoulder, yeah, he gets on my nerves. Gets on my nerves. I think that's why I'm hard of hearing in my right ear.
Oh, wow.
I can't.
I had to tune him out, and he was shouting so loud, I think he blew out my eardrums. Get him, get him, get him. No, we're not going to do that today. No.
Right.
Left shoulder's like, just hold your peace. Just let him get it out. Let him say it. This is triggering, but you have to maintain, you have to talk yourself. And this is what the Bible means when it says pray without ceasing.
Right.
I've learned that when someone is talking to me and something is triggered, I have to pray while they're talking for two purposes. One, it keeps me humble.
Right.
Okay.
And two, prayer makes room for me to process what I'm hearing objectively.
Right.
Lord, help me process. Lord, help me understand. Lord, there's another perspective outside of mine. Even if I don't agree, I have to respect the position of the other individual. even if that individual is getting on my last nerve, I want to be heard. So I have to give that room for someone else to be heard. And sometimes that can be a struggle because people say some really dumb things.
Yeah. Well, see,
You like that? You like that?
Yeah. For me, it's like I see sometimes, depending on what the situation is, it tends to. I'm a very emotional person, so it tends to like embed in me, and it will replay in my mind over and over again, and then it's like, and I would like ask myself, how should I have reacted to this? What was the better reaction? You know, and then sometimes it'll stew and be a pit in my stomach until I call that person back, and if it's you know, and give what it's warranted. Like if it's warranted an apology, you know, and it's all right. Now it took some time for me to process it. Now let's talk about it a little bit more, or you know, if it requires like, okay, a little bit of assertiveness, but in a nice way,
right?
You know, but it always does that for me to get it up. Like that's what ends up happening. Like things tend to build up in me, and I try not to let it blow up. So I need to address it sooner than later, so that the next interaction doesn't add on. So that I try not to be defensive anymore. So I'm just like, you know what you call me, you call me gray man, I'll be gray man. You know, I'm gonna take it wrong. You know, if y'all call me Santa Claus, I'll be Santa Claus. You know?
Instead of, I ain't no doggone Santa Claus. What are you? Santa Claus ain't even real. What you call me Santa Claus for?
You call me Santa Claus with the beard, but I'll be the Santa Claus with the 6-pack in 2025.
6-pack Santa Claus
in 2025. In 2025.
All right. 2025.
Set that goal, man. Set that goal.
Let's see. People loosen up if you let them get it out, and will relax a little when it's time for you to speak. Giving people a stage is medicine for them and makes people feel heard.
Absolutely. When you let people get it all the way out, you're literally getting them off the ledge in most cases. Some people will talk themselves right over the ledge. But in most cases, you let people speak their mind, and once they've got it out, you know, it's funny. There's an unspoken, can I talk now? Right. You know,
that's you.
Yeah, that inconvenient yet convenient pause when they run out of things to say. You know they've gotten it all out, or people begin to repeat themselves.
Right.
I know you've gotten it all out when you begin to repeat yourself, or there's a long pause between statements. I'm like, oh, you just creating stuff to talk about.
Right.
All right. So Jeff says, Truth Pastor always had the right shoulder guy at 50-ish. Left guy started appearing. Yeah, it's always the
see. And I bet the left guy. Oh, so the right guy was always wrong, and the right guy was always right, and then the left guy showed up in your 50s and started taking you down a negative path. I want to know. I need clarity.
Which
I'm gonna say the right guy.
Look, this is the left-hander getting offended.
The right guy is right.
See,
even if he's wrong, right?
Okay, good. Thank you. I appreciate that. I need somebody else on my team.
But yeah, I think it's you know, I know sometimes we get triggered. You know, it's hard hearing the truth sometimes. A lot of times, most of the time, all the time. You know, it's because I think it's that feeling like you're wrong. And I think it's trying to get out of that headspace of, you know, I'm not wrong. I just was erred in this situation. You know, I think for myself, it's like trying to change that mindset of you're not wrong. It's just you erred in this situation. You know, instead of
or victim. Because when you've spent a lifetime of people telling you how to get it right,
Right.
Folks telling you what's wrong constantly.
Right.
You know, you can develop a victim mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So what's the difference between being defensive and having your guard up? And I say that, like, you know, let's see the pigmentation here, right? And there's situations where, you know, you'll be in, and it's like the restaurant example I gave a while ago. You know, I come in and they put us in the back,
Right.
and they're sitting everybody else at the good seats and stuff, right? Like, is that being defensive or being guarded? You know, like if you go to challenge that situation. So, but if it's guarded or defensive being the same thing, there is it considered negative? I don't think it's negative at that point. At that point, you're like, hey.
You know what I found interesting about that, Larry? I've had conversations with restaurant owners and managers.
Okay.
And there's another perspective.
Okay.
You will not believe the number of people that come in and ask to be sat in the back. And so there are cases where people assume you want to be in the back.
Right. Right.
And they make the mistake of making that assumption. There are people who don't want to be in the front because they say, look, if somebody come up in here shooting, all the people in the front are going to get shot first. I want to be in the back so I can get out the back door.
Right. Right.
Right.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so wait staff will assume something,
Right.
and they'll make the wrong assumption, especially with people like us, because what's amazing is we want to be in the back until you voluntarily put us in the back.
Right.
Right. You ever rode the school bus? How many people rode at the front of the school bus?
Oh yeah, I'll never. Yeah, I go.
Nerd.
Okay.
I was the front guy. I was a nerd. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm just glad you agreed and you didn't get defensive. Because we went straight to the back of the bus.
Yeah.
Because the cool people were in the back.
Yeah.
You know, you go to the back of the restaurant so you can act up.
Not act up.
People can't see you making out. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought the destination was school or the trip. I didn't think about the shenanigans that was happening on. They didn't tell me.
Shenanigans on his bus.
Because you had your mind on the right stuff, and some of us was in the dark.
I'm ready to go to the museum. I was trying to look at the prehistoric.
Exactly. You know, botanical gardens.
Good morning, Cole. What's up, brother?
Morning, Cole.
So cool.
Yeah, so, and I, you know, for me, there are plenty of cases where restaurateurs want to put you in the back for cosmetic reasons.
I got you. So just that's an interesting thought, Pastor. I like your thinking. I always insist facing the entrances, and I always know where the exits are.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to know where the entrance and the exits are, and I'll never sit with my back to a door, to an entrance.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Listen, we're laughing, but you all know that is true.
Right.
You all know that.
Oh gosh. But I be dressed to the nines. I have my big hair fedora on. Sometimes I'm vested, you know. The beard is combed out and it's glistening.
Not the glistening. Oh man!
You know that there are multiple shifts. You know, you go to those that go to the bar. We all know you go to the bar. There's certain people that work on Tuesday, and there's certain people that work on Friday evening. You don't have your Wednesday at 3:00 staff working on Friday at prime time.
Right. Interesting.
He's processing.
Yeah, he is.
Right. He's like, you know what?
You gotta have folks that can handle it. Um,
He's counting how many times he was put in the back.
Yeah. This one time, so you know, it's at the time it was really hard. It's hard for me to get around and walk long distances. This one diner, they passed so many open seats, and just kept walking and walking and walking. We was in the furthest corner in this diner, and I was like, and I looked, and then I seen the next couple. I was like, oh, they got that seat right there. Oh, darn.
Yeah.
So already I was like, I'm going from 20% to 19%. And it's going to keep dropping. And then they did put somebody else near me.
Okay.
And they got served first. And I was like, oh, now we at 15%.
Not at 15.
It got to the point my wife took the check, paid the check, wrote the tip down because she saw it in my face.
Uh-oh. Hey, I'm gonna do the tip tonight. Crow says singing in the nighttime. It always come out right. Just said we need a little shady over here. We need a little lightness over here, right? Here we got to have an evenness.
Yeah, balance.
Yeah, so
you gotta have a yang color on one side, yang color on the other side, right?
Gotta keep it even. Gotta keep it even. Gotta coordinate.
Hey, Yvonne.
So today we was talking about, do you easily get defensive, receiving, correction? I think Sam was asking, is it true? I was trying to see if she's going to clarify that one. Because, sometimes the delay in what somebody says is hard to pinpoint. You're
going to get defensive now.
Right.
You're going to turn this camera off again.
Right. So listen, we appreciate you guys for being here. He said, she said, I went to breakfast with a buddy yesterday and I saw her walking to the crappy table in the corner. And I always ask, is it possible to sit? Right. There's always a bad table. It's like, let's take them there and see if they say anything. Right. The one that's rocky or uneven.
My wife doesn't play with that stuff. I'm like, just any available table. My wife is like, why are you putting us over here? Why can't we go over there?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's
I'm like, does the table change how the food tastes?
It adds to the experience.
It just adds.
It makes it taste that much better. Like you give me
like being in the restaurant is the experience.
Right.
I'm like, I thought you came here to be with me.
I came here and be in the right place, the right light, so I can see you.
Right, but I don't want to see you spilling the water because the table is rocky.
Right. See,
you're knocking the water over.
I get it. There's levels to it. There's absolutely levels to it, and there are moments where I'm like, look, I want to be right here, and I'll speak up and I'll say those things. I get those kind of moods, where I'm like, the setting has to be right.
Yeah.
But there's other cases where, look, I just want to eat.
Right. Thank you.
But I do think that being too defensive is a problem with not being self-aware. There's a lack of self-awareness when you live life on the defensive side, and then there's a lack of again, to my earlier point, being open-minded to other perspectives, and it can be a dangerous thing. But it can also be, to Larry's earlier point, it can also be a good trait to be defensive. Sometimes it's necessary to be defensive, to keep yourself protected. So you just have to balance it out. Like I said, it took time. It took years for me to get to a place of maturity where I could recognize my own inconsistencies and hear truths about myself, without getting triggered
Right.
you know, because I live life being defensive but wouldn't show it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it triggered me, but I had the restraint to hold on. And by the time they got through talking, I didn't feel as offended because I got past that trigger,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and they were able to share their whole thought, and that helped me. It trained me to be more open-minded and to be self-aware. And then I got to the point where I would tell people, please tell me if this ain't right, or let me know. I got thick skin. You hear people say, I got thick skin. You could tell me. It's okay to
Right.
tell me,
Yeah.
you know, because you get to a point where people won't tell you the truth because they're concerned about how you're going to respond, how you're going to react. And then you lose effective communication and the relationship goes awry.
Yeah. And for me, like, you know, again, the family is so used to how I used to respond. Like this, just over the past weekend, I kept saying, "Hey, let's not get lost in the little things. Let's not get lost in the little things. You know, this is the goal. This is for us to get done. Let's do it. Let's do it this way. Do it however way it goes. The details how it gets done, it's all right. You know." So like, just don't get lost in the little things. And like Brian is saying, you know, for us now, maturity kind of helped us along, and maturity just goes with experiences throughout life, and you get to a point where you're not as defensive at the wrong moment, or your response is you'll be defensive, but you know, okay, I'm being defensive. I might go into shutdown mode, but as I'm going to shutdown mode, I'm going to make sure I keep my ears open, and I want to listen and let that person and hear them out. Let them finish what they got to say. Process it 2 more times, and then respond.
Yeah,
with a smile.
That's a good point, Jeff. Jeff says that people have to choose their words around me. It's not a good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I had to learn to tell my children that, please, I want you to say what you feel like you need to say. Don't say what you think I need to hear. Don't try to, you know, because you may not agree with my response, but I want you to be open and honest with your feelings.
Right.
We're not always going to agree, you know, but I try to remind them, you know, look, I'm your dad. I love you no matter what. And you may not like what I have to say about it, but I still want you to tell me the truth. You know.
Yep. I told them the same thing. And I'm like, I'm entitled to my opinion and I'm entitled to my response. But it's okay. Don't try to predict what my reaction is going to be. Like, let me know. It's cool. I think that's something in the dad book that we revealed, and that must be in the dad book. It really must be. Like you say, the things.
Yeah, but I have issues, man, because my personality is, as long as I speak with enough. If I'm the most confident person, I'm right. If you can't say it with your chest, then you know you can be speaking truth. You can be speaking truth in a whisper, but if I'm saying it with my chest,
I win. That's a problem. That's a problem. All right, Jeff says, he said, I'm here. He said, I guess at the restaurant, I'm there to feel the total experience, which for me is being able to see everybody so I can talk mess.
Talk dollar ampersand at.
He said, that's good to know, Pastor. I just like the fact that
and I do understand. I can get that. I've learned in my years of life that when you are at the top of the food chain, you're going to be disliked.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I'm willing to give you an opportunity to speak your mind, to express yourself. So I thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Wow. I think that was on his monitor right there. He read. I'm going to read this one every time.
Oh yeah. He said it's true. Even with as haywire my kids' thoughts and belief are, I still love them the same. Indeed.
Regardless, right?
All right. So listen, we appreciate you guys for being here. Another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. Make sure you share. Sharing is caring. I don't think I said that in the beginning. Thank you guys for always rocking and being a part of all that we do. I saw Richard come in. I know Richard. Yes, we talked about the Nuggets. You got to hit the rewind. They talk a while, so you're gonna get some good information. So we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, Mental Health Wednesday. Be safe, make good choices. 988, you or someone you love is having a mental health crisis, and make sure you join Larry Live Core Fitness live 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you are texting LCF to 84576 LCF to 84576. All right, so we will see you guys in the morning.
I just want Cole to take this with him. Just take that with you, Cole.
Doom, 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 doom.
Take a screenshot and make it your screensaver.
Right.
See you in the morning, Jeff. We're knocking at that window.
All right, 4 a.m. That's Jeff. We look forward to seeing you. All right, thank you, Yvonne. Appreciate you. Said wonderful wisdom, fellas. Thanks for the comment. Yes, Cole. Appreciate you being here, man. All right, so we will see you in the AM. Know that we love you. Jesus loves you better. Be safe. Make good choices, and we out.